All right, man, let's talk about Keith Thurman and Sebastian Fundora, October 18th. I do it for the culture. I think it's a solid fight. I mean, we thought he was fighting Keith Thurman. BoxingScene.com is reporting. We got to call it a rumor. Check out the Box Room playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And I think it's a solid fight. You know what I'm saying? I think it's an interesting fight. I ain't gonna hold you up. I think Fundora gonna win by stoppage. Keith never been stopped before, but I have my reasons. So October 18th, originally it was supposed to be, we thought it was going to be Frank Martin and Honor Bobos as the co-feature, and then we thought it was going to be Virgil Ortiz and Keith Thurman as the main event, which I would have took that as well too. I think that's a more competitive fight in my opinion. I still favor Virgil, but I think for this fight, you know, for Keith Thurman, let's get into it. They must have had nothing else for Keith Thurman. You know, Jamel, they couldn't find allegedly the $5 million to get Jamel, so he had to settle for Fundora, and I think the interesting thing in this particular fight is how he used that jab. You know, how he uses that jab. So if he don't jab, it's going to how he take away Sebastian Fundora's jab is the $1 million question. You know, how does he take away Sebastian Fundora's jab? So that's the question. But, you know, where's Keith's defense at? You know, can he slip enough and can he counter enough? Do he got enough power to do what Mendoza did? You know, does he still got the legs? And one thing I noticed in that Brock Jarvis fight is that, honestly, he got hurt. When he stood toe-to-toe Brock Jarvis, he got hurt and he started moving. But maybe the movement will give Fundora some issues, but I doubt it. He's so big. He stride. No, did he? No, Kevin Spacey. His stride is different in the ring. So really, you know, it's easy for him to cut the ring off with his wingspan and how, you know, his mammoth size. No, did he? No, Kevin Spacey. So it's going to be hard. So a lot of guys like that, you got to keep the fight in the center of the ring, or you have to push them backwards. Or you just have to keep it in the center of the ring, and that's with feints, and that's taking away his jab, making him give up his height, and clipping him. Keith got to throw combinations. And the issue with Keith, you got punch-resistant problems, not a good body punch taker. I don't think he had a great chin at this point. Conditioning issues. Don't like to use the jab. So really, what is he going to just counter Fundora's jab? You know, is he going to try to slip on the inside and touch Fundora's body? That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. You know, that's the $1 million question. Is he going to get on the inside and is he going to, you know, unveil a jab, a pestering jab, or he going to come over the top, maybe cut underneath the jab with a solar plate punch with an uppercut? Is he going to work on combination punching? I mean, he worked on his core. I'm pretty sure he's working on his stamina throughout these fights, and it just ain't there. I just really don't see how he wins this fight, especially if he don't have enough power to clip Fundora with one shot. Keith ain't a great combination puncher neither. Keith is either 1 or 2 big shots, reset, and do it over again. You kind of see what I'm saying? So I think it's a great fight for Fundora. You know, a guy that Keith Thurman that get hit, he like to move. Fundora's pretty much going to close that distance off on him and probably close the show, you know, probably before the championship rounds, in my opinion. So to me, I mean, it's an exciting fight. I mean, I expect Fundora to, you know, retire Keith Thurman. I don't see it being competitive. I don't really see it being competitive. First 3 or 4 rounds, Thurman is a dangerous fighter. But at 54, can he hurt Sebastian Fundora? I know he's back in the active thing, but can he hurt Fundora? I mean, he's been knocked out before. Keith haven't, but I just think Keith ain't that durable. Fundora's on the up and up. And you got to remember, Fundora replaced Keith in the Tim Tszyu original fight because Keith got hurt. So, you know, is Keith going to have the legs, the stamina, the punch resistance, the chin, the body punch resistance to do something? Is he going to be able to throw a bunch of punches, or is he going to be able to diffuse the output of Sebastian Fundora? And if you know, that's hard to do because he's so big. He just, you know, he clunks around the ring. He take a couple steps. He didn't cut the ring off on you with his size, his width. So, oh, did he? You know, so that becomes a problem. Like, so keeping that in the ring. I mean, you know, they practice on, you know, getting inside his reach and working the body. Do they practice on getting in and out? At this point in Keith Thurman's career, I'm not sure he can get in and out for 12 rounds. I mean, if he get in and out, 1 or 2 big shots may not do it. We've seen it with Tim Tszyu. So we got to work on getting in and out of getting our 3 or 4 shots in there, and they not just being headshots neither. You're pretty much trying to work the body and the head. So it's interesting, honestly. It's very interesting. It's an interesting fight because I just think Fundora, if he just do what he did versus Tim Tszyu, it'd be okay. You know, work behind the reach, work behind the speed, work behind the size. But if Keith Thurman can hurt him, it'd be an interesting fight. But if I'm fighting somebody that big, I'm really trying to just, you know, take the body away. Yeah, I'm really trying to just really, you know, take the body away. You know, they worry about 1 or 2 big shots. I mean, with Fundora, we seen with, you know, I think Mendoza clipped him on the temple, whatever, 1 or 2 big shots. But honestly, you know, Keith Thurman is just, I mean, it's a bad matchup. He had a better chance with Ortiz, and I thought Ortiz had a great chance of stopping him as well, too. But, you know, obviously, Keith taking this fight, either he had no chance or he got a plan. Either he had no chance or he had a plan. But if I had to devise a plan, either you get inside, sit in Fundora's chest, work the body, or if you're going with a different game plan, which I think this is what he going to somewhat go with, you just want to take the jab away. You want to make him give up his height, and you want to be able to counter that jab. And if that's with a slip, a feint, coming over the top with a big left or right, I mean, really, you really count on 1 or 2 shots to do the job. I don't really think it's efficient. But if you're a certain type of fighter, you really just want to control the lead hand with Fundora. You know, do what Tim Tszyu was doing in the first fight. Set up your straight right hand. You know what I'm saying? And you really just want to just score, smother. That's a great tactic. Hit him with a big shot, come back with another big shot. But you want to keep that fight in the middle of the ring, or you want to push him back. So usually a guy that big, you know, he has problems seeing punches coming from smaller guys. He got to punch down. So, you know, but he has a great ability to throw an uppercut. He has a great ability to throw an uppercut, so you have to be able to ready to defend against that. So when you get in his chest and you closing the distance off in Fundora, a lot of guys square up where they give him the uppercuts. You got to give him the cold shoulder and really tuck your head and your shoulder and behind your guard and really work in there. And a lot of guys just sit there and eat that uppercut, eat that uppercut, eat that uppercut, eat that uppercut. And he just taking punches while he just doing this. We can't even see me with an uppercut. Either you got to be clinching or you got to be working, defending against that uppercut. But I just think it's a bad matchup. You know, a lot of people say, I don't want to see him fight. He unfair. It's unfair advantage. And I get it. I get it like anybody else. I get it. But he been beat before. What he rating? Tell Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, and Liu Kang, Goro can be killed. Fundora can't be beat. He's been beaten before. Most people felt like he was on the way to getting beat versus Tim Tszyu, but he figured something out when Tim Tszyu got bloody. It's just fight behind his reach. But even him fight behind that reach, he ain't really got no dog ass punch. He really ain't got no dog ass punch. He ain't really like turning that shot over with like Thomas Hearns was, or stepping through that punch. And that's cool, you know, but he understands that. So 15 KOs, I mean, I don't know how many fights, 20-something fights. I mean, it's still solid. But, I mean, it's a fight that I'm interested in. A fight I will watch. Hope it's for the Frisky. But it'll be a good fight. October 18th, trick or treat. I expect Keith Thurman to get lifted off his feet. So that's how I see it going down, like ADMX. But I could be wrong. Keith Thurman, even in his prime, I don't think this is a great fight for him. But we'll see. In that Brock Jarvis fight, he looked terrible. He got hit with one good shot, and that motherfucker got on his bike. And he did what he supposed to do versus Brock Jarvis. So I just feel like, you know, the Virgil Ortiz, maybe they was like, we don't want to pay Golden Boy. Maybe Virgil wanted too much money to cross the street. They're like, nah, we good. We just keep the money in-house, pay you ninjas how we want to pay you. But, you know, Fundora being, you know, kind of that, you know, his stature and his uniqueness, you think that he'd have a bigger fan base. I mean, I don't know if it's because he's from Coachella, you know what I'm saying, and he don't really have a personality. And you see that from a lot of fighters today, where they just lack the personality. My generation was a generation that grew up, without tablets, and all that other stuff. But we grew up on wrestling. Our wrestlers had great personalities. We grew up on wrestling. We had personality. You had to have personalities. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Like I said, man, I like the fight. I'm gonna watch the fight. I don't dislike Keith Thurman. I didn't like what he did, the business side of things. But everybody makes a business decision in this business. We all know that. Everybody makes a business decision in this business. That's nothing new. Everybody makes a business decision in this business. So Keith Thurman, whatever reason, probably didn't have many options. He called out everybody under the sun. A lot of these other people didn't want to participate. Charlo, he comfortable. He made that money. Charlo seemed like he take care of his money from what I see. And here I'm talking about finances. So it's always scary when you see somebody get pulled over by two cop cars. But he took care of his finances, and it is what it is. So he ain't got to move when they say move. Fought Canelo. Made some investments, but he tried to fight and he had to fight Fundora. So it's the fight that he can bid, want to be active. He has a new family, so he need the bread. So really for Keith Thurman, is this a retirement fight? Is it the rebirth of Keith Thurman? As he get back on a Hall of Fame trajectory? I mean, we got to wait and see. So, but for Fundora, we ain't really talk about. I mean, you get a name under his belt. You get to put away a name, a modern day legend in Keith Thurman, and maybe it helps with his popularity a little bit more. So, that could be the case. So, he got something to gain here, and a lot of people. I mean, if you can make the weight, I got to be consistent regardless who it is. You make the weight, it ain't no debate. So, he can make the weight, however he doing it, and, he making it. So at 6'6" to come in at 154 pounds, if anybody should be drug tested 1,000 times, most people believe it should be him. But that's all I pretty much, had to say. But I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Virgil Ortiz. It's another great question. Igis Klimov came out and said, he turned down the Mazzali. They put out the Mazzaliev fight. Him, Josh Kelly, and I think it was another guy they had named. And I don't know. Maybe Virgil Ortiz go back and take that Mazzaliev money. I mean, we don't know. So we'll see what's up with Virgil Ortiz. I mean, I seen listened to some of Coach Malachi call in with Brian Norman Sr. and he pretty much said that he told Coach what Boots was gonna do, and he he basically said that Boots is a fraud. So I mean, we'll see how this all stacked up eventually, but that he said pretty much that the Virgil Ortiz fight, and his so many words, that it ain't happened. It was a lie. And, for the most part, Eddie has a reputation for lying. Eddie has a reputation for lying. Once again, he did a lot of it with AJ, and I think a lot of people just not starting to see it and starting to wake up to the play. But, we'll see what happens with Virgil. But, Mazzaliev fight is there for the taking who want it. Some people think it might have been a one-off with Tim Tszyu. And Tim Tszyu was, coming off a loss, coming off an injury. But what made it more scary is the Mazzaliev guy had a hand injury while he was doing that. So, but a lot of people seen him on a lot of the PBC undercards, the non-televised cards he was on. I always see the name, and the running rumor is around the mill is that he knocked out Sebastian Fundora in the Lubin camp, for the Lubin camp. So he been making noise. So apparently he got some type of power, and he had a lot of dealings with PBC. Now he backed by Turkey, so nobody want to fight him. So for the most part, Fundora, probably already been knocked out by Aspire. They ain't trying to do that. They dropping belts, dropping belts and avoiding them. Then they dropped the belt that Crawford won. They dropped the WBO belt on Xander's ass. So I mean, and even though that ship is sinking and the belts, having the belts or not having the belts is not really gonna save that ship, they still gonna stick to their guns, and I can respect that. Even though that ship is sinking, they still gonna stick to their guns. So as a man, I legitimately can respect it. I can't. Real talk. So, but you know, so be it. But you know, well, we'll see what Virgil do, what Mazaliev do. We'll see what the press conference for Thurman and Fundora is, and is it going to be on a pay-per-view card? I kind of skimmed through the article, so I don't know if it's pay-per-view or not. But the fall, you got college football and all that coming on. They love to produce solid fights. Then all summer they can make these fights when it's the dog days of summer and ain't nothing to watch. You know, they can make that all day, all day. So, um, but yeah, man, we'll see, man. Let me know how y'all feeling about Keith one time. Well, Sebastian Fundora is the title holder. Keith one time Thurman versus Fundora. I think Fundora should win it by 8. I don't even think it might go that long, but I know Keith is dangerous first 4 to 6 rounds. So, if they in the 10th and 12th round, it's a competitive fight. I'll be highly surprised. Keith Thurman is a front runner. He banked up the points early on, and then, but versus Pacquiao, even though he was an old man, Keith Thurman showed, hey, man, hey, I will come on strong. No diddy down the stretch. So, appreciate y'all love and support, man. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And the subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance to get notifications. We go live and drop video. Hit the link tree. Find me everywhere. Peace.